So a lot of you throwing up comments are folks I know, but for those of you who are watching that maybe don't know who I am or what I do or why I do it, my name is Dr. Mark. I am a prenatal, pediatric, and family chiropractor here at Healing Touch Chiropractic. I am one of 3 here in our office. I've done a buttload of postgraduate training, education, and research into all things health and wellness for kids and families. I also have got 2 little munchkins of my own, which means I have put all these concepts not only into like my tickler, I put them into practice. I have applied them in my own home. And my passion and my purpose is to share the expectancy and the hope of beautifully full lives, especially as it relates to family health. Okay, so with the influx of summer sunshine coming also brings a whole bunch of changes with food and drinks, with schedules, with activities, with traveling, with bedtimes. That covers like all of life. So my intention for our time together tonight is I want to cover 10 snippets that I encourage you to either limit, avoid, or just to be cautious of as your family is bumping along the summer. So these 10 pieces are going to span what I deem to be the essentials of a healthy summer. There are going to be a lot of pieces of information. This is going to be pretty fast moving. There are going to be lots of random little snippets for you to like take action on in your own home. So, well, earlier on I said that I wasn't going to be manning comments, but here, I mean, I guess I'm doing it. I'm making it work, okay? So if you have a comment and it doesn't like totally derail me, because it turns out I kind of have like, you know, shiny ball squirrel brain. If it doesn't like totally throw me off track, I'll answer it. If I don't see it, or if I don't think it's a good fit for like our time together tonight, because I would like to keep this to about 35 minutes, I will circle back. If you shoot our Healing Touch page a message, I'll circle back and answer it. And the same goes if you catch this on a replay and have a question, by all means, reach out and we'll see what we can do. But for now, we are going to snuggle in to start. So many of our bodies' physiological and biochemical processes are reliant on our response and exposure to light and darkness, y'all. This is called our circadian rhythm. And the closer we can stick to our circadian rhythm, the better able our bodies are to regulate tighter hormones that have fingers into affecting sleep and mood and blood sugar and body temperature and like everything, okay? So melatonin is a hormone naturally produced by your pineal gland. Your melatonin production starts ramping up around 9 p.m. It makes you sleepy and groggy, and it also drops your body temperature. So you go to bed, ideally, if you're following the circadian rhythm, you then sleep 7 to 8 hours, and then in the morning, the sunshine comes up, that pineal gland catches the sunshine. The pineal gland doesn't. Retinas in your eyes catch the light. They communicate with your brain, and the pineal gland says, oh, melatonin, you can taper off. We actually need cortisol now. That cortisol is what wakes us up and gets us going for the day. All right. So with that circadian rhythm, it follows a daily rhythm. It also has a seasonal rhythm, which means like fall and winter, we have more melatonin. In the spring and summer, we have less because there's more sunshine, more bright during the day. Okay, so a lot of people resort to supplementing melatonin in the summertime because of this fact. It like really as a means to counteract it, okay? So when we are taking melatonin in a supplement form, it's problematic for, well, like a whole bunch of reasons. So first and foremost, again, melatonin is a hormone naturally produced by your pineal gland. You start synthetically ingesting it, it's going to trigger that pineal gland to either reduce making it or to stop making it altogether. So not only have you like not addressed the issue, you've also created a whole shitstorm of other problems. okay? Especially when you consider melatonin is actually not a sleep promoter. Most people, that's what they think of melatonin. Melatonin is a circadian rhythm regulator, okay? So it affects more than just sleep. You start supplementing melatonin, you aren't just affecting your sleep, you are affecting your blood sugars, you are affecting your hormones, you are affecting growth and development of your kids, you are affecting homeostasis, you are affecting anxiety, you're affecting moods. Like, this is far reaching, okay? So what I would recommend instead of melatonin, and not just in the summer, like anytime, okay? First of all, always go to bed, always wake up at the same time, ideally following that circadian rhythm. So if it's like 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, every single day, even on the weekends, even in the summertime. If you do choose to stay out late, try to wake up as close to your normal morning time, just because you try to sleep in and make, like, it doesn't work like that. You can't make up sleep. Yes, your body might feel like you're more tired, but I promise you, following that rhythm is much more important. So also, when we're talking about those regular rhythms, is the importance of getting your ass outside in the morning, ideally, for 15 to 20 minutes, because sunlight is going to flood those retinas again. Luckily, I have kids on a very strict rhythm. Well, they're just helping you out, though. They're keeping you regular, keeping them regular. You get outside, those retinas are going to communicate to the pineal gland, hey, we're ready to start dialing down that melatonin and get ready for cortisol. And then on the opposite end of the day, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I am a hot body, like I run hot. So I love sleeping in the cold, but your body, research has shown time and time again, your body temperature drops. So you will sleep better in a colder room. Also, you should be ditching the blue light, like artificial blue lights. Well, you're not gonna get natural blue light at 9 p.m. because it's not there. We'll talk about that later. But the artificial blue lights, so phones, computers, PlayStations. Shit, is PlayStation even a thing anymore? Like, my brothers grew up kind of playing, but I don't know anyone who plays anymore. Is that a thing? I don't know. Don't play it at nighttime. Twofold. Again, though, the blue light from those screens is going to stimulate that pineal gland, and it's going to tell it, oh, we don't need melatonin. Clearly, we're supposed to be awake right now. The other piece is it's going to cause a neural ramp up in terms of activating the stress and anxiety centers of your brain. The fast-paced changing lights and colors and sounds. And does that sound like what we want as we're trying to, like, get cozy and go to sleep? Shit, no. We are looking for calm, cool, easy. The other thing I want to encourage you to limit at least 2 hours before bed is you are done eating. So when we are sleeping, our bodies ideally are prioritizing repairing, remodeling, and restoring. That is hella hard if we just took in a burger and fries and our tummy now has to break that down. So ditch the foods 2 hours before bedtime, okay? And since we're talking about foods, and food is probably my second love language underneath quality time, I think of summer, I think of family reunion picnics, I think of days at the lake with nonstop snacking, I think of baseball games with concession stand food. And so, of course, with all of those high points, oh, that's awesome. Also, a good trick that I learned, Becca, for those of you who didn't see the comment, she said, I have my phone automated to turn blue light to warm backlight with the sunset sunrise. That's an awesome hack. Someone shared with me turning your, I have a Droid, so, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but apparently on an iPhone, you can turn it black and white, which is going to make it way less interesting. So if scrolling is a problem for you, at nighttime or otherwise, turn your phone on black and white. You're going to surprise the hell out of yourself. But anyways, we're talking about food during those high points, the fun family get-togethers, the time with friends. And a lot of times it's quick, it's packaged, it's processed. So we're talking about deli meat sandwiches, we're talking hot dogs and brats and popsicles and sugary drinks and alcohol and just a whole bunch of stuff. So there are going to be 4 food pieces that we're going to talk about tonight. So up first, we are going to look at nitrates and nitrites, all right? So if you grab a hot dog at a picnic or running out the door and grab a deli ham sandwich, you should know about these chemicals. So manufacturers add nitrates and nitrites to cured meats, to sausages, to bacon, salami, to beef sticks, to give them color and to prolong their shelf life, okay? The problem with these nitrates and nitrites is when they're added to processed foods like this, they can actually form what's called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are a group of genotoxic chemical carcinogens. Repeated exposure has been shown to increase your chances of developing cancer. All right, so these are a little bit different. You can also find nitrates and nitrites naturally in foods like spinach, broccoli, cucumbers, celery. And the thing, or how they're different, is those foods, when they, when they come packaged, but really God does the packaging, so that's what I'm talking about. But they've got vitamin C, they've got other chemicals, or excuse me, other compounds present in the food that prevent those chemicals from converting to those nitrosamines. So please, by all means, keep eating those healthful foods. But the next time you find yourself at a picnic or a cookout or a reunion, I want to encourage you, opt for maybe a hamburger over a brat or a hot dog. Or maybe you go vegetarian for the meal. Or maybe you find some uncured hot dogs, like we've got a 3-year-old at home. The Applegate brand you can find at natural grocers. They've got turkey dogs and hot dogs. They taste like a hot dog. I mean, they taste like a hot dog. So can anybody be that excited about them? I've also found uncured brats in Costco. And I shouldn't just say that uncured is the only consideration. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of stuff we should be talking about, like high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavor. Maybe those will be other Play Shop ideas. But also at Costco, there are this brand of beef sticks we really like. So protein is an awesome snack all the time because you're going to feel satiated and full and satisfied, especially in the summertime when you're essentially you leave in the morning and you go on adventures all day long. Or, I mean, if you're an adult, you you work and you still do your regular stuff. But it's a Chomps brand, and where they are different is they're cured, but they don't have any added nitrates or nitrites. They're only those that you'd find naturally in celery and sea salt, which, as we talked, is not harmful. So, up next on our chopping block tonight is food dyes. So, the popsicles you find at Target end caps, and Mountain Dew, and Gatorade, and Welch's Fruit Snacks, pickles, the can of Betty Crocker frosting, Doritos, Hamburger Helper. I don't know where I've went in the list. Truly, there are so many food dyes out there. And of everything that I just listed, none of them we actually, my family doesn't eat any of that for a number of reasons, not just food dyes. High fructose corn syrup, artificial flavoring, processed refined sugars. That's a lot of bad beat. But for tonight's purposes, we are specifically talking about food dyes, okay? So, food dyes, back to them, the reason they add them to food, purely cosmetic. So they give our food color and they make it more appealing for us to eat. They increase our appetite for them. The problem with them is food dyes are made with petroleum oil-based chemicals. So you don't have to know a whole lot about health when you hear petroleum oil to know that you shouldn't be eating that shit. So health risks that we're talking about are behavioral, are developmental, it's inattentiveness, it's impulse control, it's impaired memory, it's forgetfulness, it's that raging bull kid, it's allergies, it's immune disorders, even inflammatory bowel disease, and of course there's links to cancer. So the U.S. is one of the only industrialized countries that doesn't have strict regulations around food dyes. Places like Australia and Japan and many in the European Union, they either ban or heavily restrict these chemicals. And then here in America, we feed them to our kids and wonder why concerns like ADHD and anxiety and oppositional defiant disorder, like what the shit is that? But they're all on the rise, right? Which makes sense considering food dyes are freaking everywhere. So there are 7 that have been deemed better than the others. So I don't know if this is going to come up. I'm going to post all like things that I talk about. I'll post in the comments afterwards. But the big 7, blue number 1, blue number 2, green 3, red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6. Again, this is backwards. This does you no good. I'll post this. There's also an awesome account on Instagram. It's called The Natural Minded Mama. She has got a ton of specific swaps if your family is looking for ideas for, shit, my kids love goldfish. What should we be doing instead? Auntie Annie's. Is that what it's called? I think it's Auntie Annie's. All right, either way, The Natural Minded Mama, I'll post her account in here. The highlight guides at the top, you know, the circles, scroll like a decent ways over, and she has a food dyes toggle with a ton on there. She has got a crazy amount of like natural products for home and for skin and beauty and families and kids. So like take a look around her account. It's Annie Cheddar Bunnies. Haha! Thank you, love. Yes, I will post her Instagram account because it's awesome. So a lot of fun like summer fruity boozy drinks also contain food dyes, which is really a double punch when you consider the sobering effects of alcohol. If you do not know me, I have the world's lamest sense of humor. So I was so impressed when I put that joke together. Even though we're talking about like kind of serious stuff, I was still like, this is pretty good. But the research is downright scary because everybody has heard the media cite things like, oh, a drink a day will reduce your risk of heart attack, and 2 drinks a day has been linked to longer life. Well, what is actually happening to your brain? Because as a chiropractor, of course, I want to know how your nervous system navigates alcohol consumption. All right. So when it comes to the 3-pound supercomputer in your brain, the news is not that awesome. So the Amen clinics, they've got the largest database of functional brain scans, and they publish a ton of research. And they've got 5 big findings in terms of alcohol and its effects on our brain. And they are downright scary, y'all. Like, so number 1 is alcohol consumption. Even drinking 1 to 7 drinks a week is linked to a lower brain volume. Now, everybody knows bigger is always better. At least when we're talking about brains, okay? Number 2, alcohol reduces blood flow. Your brain uses 20% of your body's total blood volume. So getting adequate blood flow is crucial. This is entirely problematic. And also to note that low blood flow on those functional brain scans is the number 1 predictor of future memory problems and Alzheimer's disease. Oh my gosh. Number 3, alcohol has been linked to damage of the hippocampus. Your hippocampus is a region of your brain responsible, I shouldn't say responsible, but largely influential in memory and learning. So there was a huge study. It followed 550 men and women for 30 years. That is freaking commitment, right? Like 30 years they followed these people. They found that those men and women that had 1 to 2 drinks a day actually had 3 times the likelihood of atrophy of that hippocampus, okay? This study also found that those who drank alcohol had damage to your corpus callosum. So corpus callosum is a thick bundle of nerve fibers. It runs the length of your hemispheres and is really responsible for allowing the 2 of them to communicate. So that lack of balance and coordination might seem funny when your buddy like trips over their lawn chair, but it's really scary when you consider the effects can be long-standing and they are for sure cumulative, okay? Number 4, and this study makes me so sad, and it wasn't even that long ago. 2009 study fed booze to monkeys. Why is that a thing? Why, like, I'm sure there are plenty of adults that would have signed up for this study, but they fed booze to monkeys. Of the monkeys that drank alcohol, there was a 58% decline in the formation of new brain cells. There was a 63% reduction in the survival rate of those brain cells. So, alcohol linked to decline in new brain cells. And then the fifth piece, that, again, in those that drink 1 to 2 pops a day, in those who consume 1 to 2 drinks a day, there we go, there's a 57% affiliation with developing dementia. So alcohol literally makes you lose your mind, and those effects are even greater when the alcohol consumption is higher, okay? So segueing again off of the food dyes, because I've found that most products, especially marketed to kids, that say they contain fruits or they're fruit flavored, also have got frickin' food dyes, okay? Which is exactly why instead of like fruit snacks or popsicles, we lovingly push fruit. Really all the time, but especially in the summertime when our favorites are in season and they have the best nutritional profile. So the thing that you want to take into consideration anytime you're buying produce is how clean is it? Is it organic? So regulations prohibit those foods that are organically grown and marketed as containing synthetic food dyes, or from containing synthetic food dyes, artificial flavoring, the preservatives like we talked about, the artificial nitrates and nitrites. They also can't contain pesticides. Excuse me. So pesticides on our food have got a ton of health implications, and they span nervous system, eyes, skin, cancer affiliation, hormones and endocrine system, tummy, respiratory system, reproductive. Like, holy shit, I don't want any of that, Monsanto. Like, get away from me, Satan. But if you are not interested in buying all organic, or you're like, I'm not ready to fully convert, oh Lauren, what I would recommend is adhering to this year's Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list. So if you're not familiar, for the last 20 years, every year, the Environmental Working Group, or the EWG, publishes these two lists, the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. What they are is basically a ranking of conventional non-organic foods and the amount of pesticides that they contain. So this year they sampled 47,500 fruits and vegetables, spanning 46 different kinds. And what they found is 75% of all of the 47,000 samples, 75% of them contained potentially harmful pesticides. Of those in the Dirty Dozen, 95% of them contain pesticides. Oh my gosh, that is scary considering the whole host of things that I just talked about, okay? So, like I said, they publish it every year. We use these lists really to inform like our purchases. So if an item is on the Dirty Dozen list, I only will buy it organic. If it's not organic, like, okay, we don't need it today. If an item is on the Clean 15 list, sometimes we'll flex and we'll buy it conventional. So I will, like I said, post this in the comments. I don't know why I tried, like I knew it was going to be backwards. I just wanted to try and see. So on the Dirty Dozen list this year, strawberries, spinach, kale, collard and mustard greens, grapes, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. Those are the food items I would be sure to only purchase organic. On the Clean 15, carrots, sweet potatoes, mangoes, mushrooms, watermelon, cabbage, kiwi, honeydew melon, asparagus, sweet peas, papaya, onions, pineapple, sweet corn, and avocados. So, as if avoiding toxins wasn't reason enough to avoid conventional produce, which I mean, like it totally is. When you compare the nutritional profiles of conventional versus organic, it will blow your freaking mind. So when we're talking about snap beans, 7 times the amount of boron in an organic versus conventional. 22 times the amount of iron in organic versus conventional. Organic tomatoes, 2,000 times the amount of iron in an organic versus conventional. And side note, regardless of if a produce item that we buy is organic or is conventional, I always wash them. So what we do is we fill up our sink with water, dump in a cup of vinegar, a couple drops of lemon essential oil, throw in our fruits and veggies, let them sit for 5 minutes, and then we rinse them off until they're clean to make sure no pesticides, no residues. And speaking of pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and insecticides and whatever asides, so a lot of people spray their yards in the summertime. A lot of people spray their bodies in the summertime when mosquitoes and ticks come out. So I have always been the person that if I'm putting on bug spray, which I haven't done for like 20 years, I bet. I'm always the person, I spray it on my arm and it ends up in my mouth. And I'm tasting it and it's freaking garbage. Like, it tastes awful. So taste alone is enough to tell my brain, this is not something good. This is not okay. It tastes alone, or taste a side effect. Uh-oh, what happened? Am I back? Somehow I swiped something. Can someone tell me if I'm back, please? Because I don't know if it... Shoot. I toggled to the side and then it said there was poor connection and now I pissed off everybody. Yes, hi. Ha ha ha. Thank you, girl. Okay, cool. So these sprays and these chemicals. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. These sprays are often chemicals whose active ingredients are harmful past a certain concentration. So the thing about bug spray concentrations is they are not rated for how well do they keep bugs off of your skin. They are rated for how long the active ingredients last. So when you're out at Itasca and it's thick woods there, right? Like, you're in the woods. And you are reapplying often. More than likely, you are actually exceeding what the manufacturer recommends for those active ingredients, as well as what testing deems safe. This is going to especially be true if you are using a combination of sunscreen and repellent. Because sunscreen, we've all been taught and told you need to reapply sunscreen. Well, if you're reapplying sunscreen and repellent every 2 hours, you are definitely overexposing yourself to those active ingredients, which we just talked about affect a whole bunch of stuff, okay? So I definitely would avoid a repellent sunscreen combination. And really, I wouldn't do a conventional repellent and I wouldn't do a conventional sunscreen either. We're gonna talk about that. So what our family does instead is did I bring it? Yes. So we don't do any commercial stuff for us or our doggo at home. This amber bottle, it even says bug spray. I used to have a cute label on it, and then it turns out it was a chalk label, so it wiped right off. But got this bottle on Amazon. In it is witch hazel, citronella, eucalyptus, rosemary, and lemongrass. If you're gonna buy a glass bottle, you want it to be amber, like this dark color, because it's going to prevent the oils from denaturing. But we just coat ourselves head to toe and reapply often. Like, if we can't smell it, we're putting it back on. If we're like going to be near water where that would likely wash off relatively quickly, we'll mix those same oils with coconut oil and smear them everywhere. Same goes for our dog. We do not use conventional like flea and tick for Darla. We use, again, essential oils, which, side note, make sure you are always using like a quality essential oil, like a doTERRA or a Young Living. But with your dog, they are very, very sensitive to essential oils. They're very powerful for our dogs. So you want to make sure you're diluting them properly if you're going to apply to your dog. What Darla has in her own little amber bottle has a combination of lavender and rosemary. We have previously used like apple cider vinegar mixed with water, and sprayed her with that. And again, like whenever you can't smell it anymore, that's when you put more on. She didn't love it, but I think that's because our dog just like any like self-care stuff, like hygiene, she assumes you're like ripping off her flesh. I don't think it actually caused her any irritation, but apple cider vinegar can irritate some dogs. So just be mindful of that. If you are more like like what ratios do I use and how much of each, like that's not how I roll. I don't cook like that either. So if you're more like a ready to go kind of gal or dude, Young Living has an insect repellent that's a topical. You rub right in. doTERRA has got a Terra Shield. I think they might have a topical and a spray. And then when I was pulling info together for this class, I found in a lot of holistic groups, it's called Wondercide, the company is. Really awesome plant ingredients, super clean, and most importantly, it looks like the shit works. Again, I have not purchased this. I found it in a lot of like holistic groups, but helpful for like fleas and ticks and mosquitoes and ants and cockroaches and ticks. Did I already say them? If I didn't, more ticks. Which is important because like Lyme disease, especially like in our area and over in Western Minnesota, is on an uprise the last 7 to 8 years. But anyways, Wondercide, they've got stuff for your kids, stuff for your dog, stuff for your home, stuff for your yard. I will post the link to their website in these comments. I am definitely going to be checking them out because you can never really have too many tools when we're talking about protection from like bugs, right? Like I don't use bug spray, but I also don't want to get eaten alive. So that's what my family does. Also, when talking about things that we are putting on our bodies is we can't overlook sunscreen. Now, I honestly could talk about sunscreen for 4 freaking hours. We are a no sunscreen family for 2 reasons, really. Well, I shouldn't say that. In Hank's like 3.5 years, I think we've used sunscreen maybe 5 times for those days that we are outside all day long and the UV index is high, and the temperature is hot. I think we picked up like an unscented badger. And I say we through all of this as if Michael has any idea. He lets me do whatever I want. So I picked up an unscented badger product. It was like thick and really hard to smear in, which makes sense because it has minerals as compared to most active ingredients in conventional sunscreen. Like titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, those are what the good sunscreens contain, but those molecules are a lot larger, which is why they're thick and why they don't rub into your skin very well. But we don't regularly use sunscreen because most conventional sunscreen contain nasty chemicals that can cause allergic reactions, disrupt your hormones, impair kidney filtration, damage your reproductive organs, and of course they have been linked to cancer because if you have noticed a common theme in all of these things that we're talking about is cancer affiliation. So, what was I going to talk about? Oh, are there healthy alternatives for sunscreens? Bet your bottom dollar there are. So the EWG, that environmental working group we talked about before, they actually have products that are deemed EWG verified. What this means is those products, and this goes beyond sunscreen. This is all things like home, beauty. They have a separate rating system for foods. Like I love the EWG. Search their website for all sorts of, or search their database, I should say, for all sorts of ratings. But the EWG verified, what it means is a product meets their strictest standards for health, that their company is fully transparent with their practices, with their products, and that their stuff is clean and good. So they have a sunscreen list. I will post that in the comments. Should my family ever travel to the equator or something, or just like go to, Mexico, ooh, I'm going to expose I don't know geography. Is Mexico close to, obviously it's closer to the equator, but like, is it, I don't know. This is live, I can't go back. Y'all are going to know I have shitty humor and shitty geography. But anyways, I would use a product off of there. I know the Attitude brand has got several clean sunscreens. I think they're called Sunly. I will post it in there. But again, disclaimer, my family does not use sunscreen for the second reason. is that I don't believe the sun to be bad. God made the sun as he made the sky and the grass and the trees and you and me and freaking everything. Therefore, I do not believe the sun to be this bad thing that we need to avoid. On the contrary, research has actually shown so many health benefits when you go outside without sunscreen and without sunglasses. And every color of sunlight in the sky actually has its own healing benefits. So ultraviolet B light has been, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, that's what actually encourages production of the hormone vitamin D. Red light, which is also the light you get at sunset, is good for nerve pain. It is largely helpful for your thyroid gland. Blue light, like natural blue light, we've talked about. It helps to set your circadian rhythm, which is why you should get your ass outside in the morning. Ultraviolet A has triggers melatonin and helps to lower blood pressure. And how cool is this? So you expose your body to sunlight and it triggers the melanocytes in your skin to produce melanin. Melanin is responsible for giving our skin its color, and it also has protective properties, which is like the important part of it, right? So, like the body is freaking like just brilliant. Always it's brilliant. So now before you blast me, I'm not saying that I send my kids outside to fry and just deal with the consequences. If we are going to be outside all day long, if we are like, especially from 10 a.m. to like 3 p.m., that's when the sun's rays are the strongest. We'll make sure that we have access to shade. We'll bring a bunch of light layers. And we always, always, always have our water bottles. That's not necessarily relevant when we're talking about sun protection, but I also feel like it is relevant because majority of people, like 95%, are dehydrated. So take your water with you everywhere, people, even when you're outside, especially when you're outside. It's one of the biggest non-negotiables. So there has happened over the years where I've overdone it, not for my kids, but for myself. Like I've burned to a crisp. So in those instances, what I have done is slathered myself with like lavender essential oil, or I also like vinegar is really effective at soothing skin. Both lavender and vinegar are going to help soothe the skin, and it doesn't bother me to smell like a pickle, so I've gone that route as well. Number 9 up for your consideration to limit or be cognizant of this summer is chlorine. Now, before you tell me that I'm taking away your kids' fun, hear me out. So chlorine is a toxin that affects literally every system in your body, but especially your immune system, especially your liver. Oh, thank you, Becca, for that laugh. She says, me casually taking a large gulp of water after you said most people are dehydrated. Oh, and you're so right, Lauren. She also chimed in, hydrated skin is so important when it comes to sun protection. It's true, because when you saturate your pores, that sun is going to permeate less into your dermis. So, excellent point, girlfriend. Do you two know each other, like Becca and Lauren? That's fun. I love everybody that's on here so far. I say that like it's like up for debate, like some of you, but no. Okay, when we're talking about chlorine, so as if your skin, your body's largest defense, the outside that is responsible for absorbing so much stuff, as if it wasn't problematic enough for your skin to absorb chlorine. It's really, when you consider, like, it gets into the chlorine is released from the water, it gets into your lungs, which then goes almost immediately into your bloodstream. So 40 minutes after swimming in a chlorinated pool, our bodies actually show markers of DNA damage, which makes sense why swimming in a pool is so damn exhausting. You go to a lake or a river in an ocean, you can swim for, I shouldn't say hours, I mean everybody's obviously different. You can swim for a while. You go to a pool and you are wrung the heck out. So that's one of the biggest signs of chlorine overexposure. Also, other symptoms to talk about really actually mimic a lot of food dye stuff. So irritability, coughing, respiratory, immune disorders, defiance, hyperactivity, obsessive compulsive like movements and behaviors. So obviously we can't always limit chlorine exposure, which would be ideal. I mean, it is helpful that Lakes Country is not that far away, because beach swimming is going to be more ideal. But like I said, that's not always an option. So there are a few things that my family does to negate some of those effects, because they're downright scary, especially if you have kiddos that are fish and they are exposed like the duration of the summer, or if you already know that they're sensitive, especially those kiddos that have like sensory issues, or like panda pans, or a lot of like really like specific food allergies. Those kids a lot of times are more sensitive. So what my family does before we go swimming, we coat ourselves up with coconut oil. So I probably should have stock in this shit. Between coconut oil and Costco, I should have stock somewhere. But that coconut oil is going to provide a little bit of a protective barrier, so it's going to prevent some of the chlorine from it being absorbed into your body. PSA, it will make you slippery as all get out. So if you are toting around an infant, that is my season of life. I have an 8-month-old. They're greased up watermelon. So just be aware they're slippery. It will wash off. So if you keep reapplying, the more the merrier. We also shower immediately after swimming, and then when we get home, jump in the bathtub and we throw a bunch of Epsom salts in there. That magnesium helps to bind and detox it from your body. If you are in the two camps we talked about, kids that swim often in the summer or kiddos that you know to be sensitive, I would actually consider like some supplement support. There are 4 big ones. Taurine is probably what I would recommend first. If your kids are sensitive or you do a lot of swimming. So taurine is actually a precursor to a neurotransmitter. It has a large effect on calming and soothing our nervous system. It also is going to help bind to that chlorine and get it out of your body. Second piece, iodine. So chlorine, bromine, fluoride, those actually prohibit the absorption of iodine within your body. Iodine is a precursor to thyroid hormone. Every cell in your body responds to and needs thyroid hormone. So if you are not absorbing iodine properly because of chlorine, bromine, iodine, I would consider supplementing that as well, as it's also going to help move along or help restore mineral balances. Excuse me. Magnesium. We can't forget magnesium. We talked about the Epsom salts. Magnesium also helpful for helping to neutralize, because it's going to bind and detox. And then the last supplement support, vitamin C, which you already have a jump start on because you're eating all those organic fruits and veggies. So high five to you. And then the last touch point is actually something, a trend, I guess you'd say, that I've noticed in my years of practice. And summertime comes, and sometimes people get a little patchy with their chiropractic care. So logistically, I suppose, traveling and late nights and more activities, but also logistically, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense when I know that chiropractic is a piece of self-care that you do so as you kick ass in all the other areas of your life. So if you want to sleep better, instead of supplementing melatonin, a regulated, calm nervous system is key. If you want to properly digest, absorb, and assimilate your food, a regulated, calm nervous system is key. If you want to easily detox and kick out potential toxins you come into contact with, a regulated, calm nervous system is key. If you want to jump on the trampoline with your kids and hop up on water skis behind the Moomba and go for an 8-hour road trip and not feel like you're 112 years old, a regulated, calm nervous system is key. Are you catching the theme here? Chiropractic has nothing to do with accepting and living with limitations, and is all about finding and optimizing potential to feel good, to heal good, to move good, to sleep good, to poop good, to live good. So if you are in the FM area and you find yourself without a chiropractor, we would love to talk about how we can care for your family. Or if you are currently doing chiropractic but are not there regularly, consistently, you are doing your health and your life a disservice. So to recap, the 10 pieces that we covered tonight that I want to encourage you to either limit or at least be cognizant of: melatonin, synthetic nitrates and nitrites, there we go, synthetic food dyes, booze, conventional non-organic produce, pesticides on your yard, bug spray on your body, sunscreen, chlorine, bailing out on chiropractic. So I know we plowed through a lot of information. Truly, each one of these pieces could be its own play shop, which is what we're calling these, because I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about chiropractic. I love talking about the chiropractic lifestyle outside of this office as well. So to that end, if you loved this conversation and know someone who would benefit from the information, would you please share this with them? And to that, additionally, if you love this conversation and again, don't have a chiropractor, we would love to talk about how chiropractic care at Healing Touch might just be that foundational piece of health that you've been missing. So these play shops, we are planning to do them as an ongoing project here at Healing Touch. So coming up in July, probably like mid to end July, we will have our next play shop where we'll be talking about monkey brain. So all things with feeling overwhelmed and anxious and scattered and frantic and chaotic, what it is, why it happens, and what to do about it. So, I am so glad, Becca. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Yes, so keep your eyes tuned for our next play shop talking about monkey brain. And until then, here's hats off to a sizzling healthy summer. Hopefully you sun-kissed beautiful people. So catch you soon. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. I love you too, Tiff. And I love everyone. Thank you so much. That's the one for me. Okay, well, we'll catch you then in July, Steph. And I'll see you here in the office here this week.